Warcraft 3 is a RTS, which means there is no turn-based actions. Instead, all players will issue actions and commands in real time, which can be demanding for some players. This will make it difficult for some to improve their skill, as you also have to think very quickly and never be stagnant. The purpose of the game is to use the resources you accumulate, such as gold and lumber, to erect buildings, to create armies to crush your enemies by either destroying all of their buildings or forcing them to quit by killing their army. In this tutorial, I hope to give new players the fundamentals by going over hero basics, important map buildings, armor and attack types, and control/hotkeys. I'll also give a brief overview of the races with their racial identities and how to develop your early game. So, let's get to it. Warcraft 3 has 4 unique playable races, which are the humans, who possess strong magic casters, siege capabilities, and are well-rounded. The orcs, who have the strongest ground melee, good casters, but lack heavy air. The Night Elves, who rely on range and mobility to defeat their enemies, but lack reliable melee. And finally, my favorite, the Undead, who use powerful hero spells to decimate armies. Each one has their own strengths and weaknesses, which require its own separate video. No matter which one you decide to choose first to play as, you can use the same build order opening to get started and then continue from that point. Begin by placing all of your workers to the gold mine, or if you are undead, place the 3 acolytes to the gold mine and then the ghoul to wood. Begin to build your race-specific farm, altar, and barracks building, while when gold allows, create more workers to gather more wood and gold. Remember, the maximum amount in the gold mine to maximize income is 5 workers, but you may place any amount you desire for wood. A good amount of workers for lumber is usually 8, except for undead who can get by with just 5. Do this while training your first hero from the altar and tier 1 units from the barracks. Begin creeping and be sure to begin executing your plan for the game. One last thing before moving on to the next topic. As new players, I urge you to stop leaving your games. Just because you lose a hero or army does not mean the game has been lost. In many cases, the game is still winnable, and you will not learn from your mistakes you make by leaving the game. Now, before continuing with the video, I would like to remind you guys that if you found this informative and helpful, to leave a like and a comment, as it is the only real way that I will know if you guys like this kind of videos. I enjoy making this tutorial and would like to do more things like this in the future, but only if it appears that you guys enjoyed it and want to see them, as it does take me a while to make them. For example, I am considering doing 4 videos detailing each race's strengths and weaknesses, and builders with advanced tactics. However, as of now, my channel is mostly just a hobby at the moment, but I am looking to grow it, and leaving likes and comments and even subscribing will help me a lot. Well, with that out of the way, let's move on to the tutorial. Okay, so we're gonna go over the basics of the hero unit. Not gonna go into very specific details, we're just gonna go over the basics because heroes require its own separate video because there's a lot to cover. But we're gonna go over just the generics for the new players. Now, every race has an altar they can build where they produce a hero. Each race, or each player should I say, can only have access to 3 hero units max. They can play with 1, 2, or none, or 3. it is actually beneficial to play with the most amount of heroes that you have access to, because heroes have abilities, spells, stats, hero armor, hero attack. They are basically a special unit that will change the direction of battle in your favor or the opponent's favor, depending on what's going on. They also gain experience. If you look at the bar down here where the portrait is, it says level 1 Demon Hunter, 0 experience out of 200. Every time you kill a unit, whether it is your opponent's unit or a neutral creep, the hero will gain experience. However, natural creeps that are around the map guarding shops, gold mines, or just in the way in general can only be killed and crept and given a level of up to 5 to any hero. There's a cap. In order for you to gain experience above level 5, you need to actually attack enemy players and kill their units. This is a hard cap that was introduced in the Frozen Throne expansion, but in Reign of Chaos you can just creep however long you want, and you can actually reach level 10 hero if you just keep on creeping the whole map. Not all maps, because not all maps have a lot of creeps around, but in certain maps you can. And that was actually a very prominent strategy back in the day, where people would get one hero and quickly creep up to level 6 and then go attack because they had their ultimate ability. Speaking of abilities, each hero has access to abilities. They will start with level 1 abilities, and then, like I just mentioned, at level 6 they will gain their ultimate, which costs a lot of mana, but is the best spell in their arsenal, and usually, in a lot of cases, ends up winning you the game. Not all heroes have game-ending ultimates, but most of them do. Now here with the Demon Hunter, typically Metamorphosis was a game ender for the opponent. If a Demon Hunter got to level 6 and they activated the Metamorphosis, they would usually win, because the Demon Hunter becomes a ranged attacker with chaos damage, gains hit points, and the spell lasted forever. This got nerfed recently, so it has a shorter duration, but it's still very powerful. It just doesn't end the game on the spot like it used to. There's other spells here listed, and most of them actually will help each other. Actually, not to say help each other, they are synergistic with each other most of the time. Like, for example, Immolation here surrounds the Demon Hunter with fire and causes damage to enemies that are around him. So when he's surrounded, it burns everyone around him, it causes damage, 10 damage per second at level 1, and so on and so on. Combine that with Evasion, one of his other abilities. Evasion causes him to avoid attacks at a 10% chance at level 1, and then up to 30% at level 3. So if you combine the two, and he gets surrounded, and they keep trying to attack the Demon Hunter will cause 1/3 of the attacks to miss at level 3, plus burn 20 damage per second at level 3 if he has both at level 3 max. So he's dealing damage while avoiding damage, so they're synergistic. Not all heroes will have synergistic abilities, but some will. Now, in order, like I said earlier, to gain levels, you have to creep. So we're gonna just show you that real quickly. On the map down below, next to the portrait, is called a mini map, and I should have already gone over it. The green dots here are creep camps. So with the same thing with the orange one here at the gold mine, the red one here at this other building that we will go over later. But the different colors mean different difficulty levels of the creep camps. The darker the color, the harder it is. So green is one of the lighter colors. It'll be an easy camp to destroy.
Our gold mine is running low.
The orange ones are harder, and then the red ones are the hardest one. So let's go over to this green camp and just creep it, which is what the term comes from. You are destroying these creeps and getting the points for experience, so you can develop your hero into a better unit, harder to kill, more damage dealer. It just does everything better. So you just attack the unit, the creep. Some of them will have mana and abilities. They might attack you with their abilities, they might not. And as you see at the purple down here, the bar starts turning purple with every kill. So now I have 172 out of 200. And every time you kill a creep, not every time, but most of the time, a camp will drop a item. The item is being held by a very specific creep, and some pros and strategies revolve around killing that specific unit and then just dipping out to go get the other items or better camps, because not all of the camps will have good items, but the hero is able to pick up items, and then they're going to be here in his inventory slot. He can hold up to 6, and some items are what do you call it, consumable. So when you click on it, say the sentry ward, you can place it down and it takes 1 charge, so now I only have 1 left. Every item is different. Not everyone's going to be a consumable. Some of them are going to be static giving abilities, which I haven't gotten over yet. So let's go over that now before we continue with another creep camp. So the stats here on his portrait show his damage, his armor, his status effects down here at the below are going to show icons. Sorry for moving the camera. Like it'll have different icons showing different status effects that might be on your unit, like slow effects, aura abilities, and so forth. Here on the right has strength, agility, intelligence. These are the 3 basic stats that your hero unit has compared to regular units, because regular units don't have this. Actually, these are the only 3. Sorry, I shouldn't have said basic. These are the only 3 you'll have in the whole game. This hero's main attribute is agility. If you hover over the shoe here or the foot, it will give you a description of what agility gives you. There's agility, strength, and intelligence. Each one gives you a different benefit. If you give a stat boosting item to a hero that has a specific, that corresponds with a specific attribute, like say if I pick up a +3 agility ring or whatever, and gives him +3 agility to his stats, it would also give him an extra point in damage for each of those stat boosts. So I'm giving him 3 more agility points, he's getting 3 additional damage. Every 3 points will increase his armor by 1. So since I'm giving him 3 extra, his armor will go from 4 to 5. And it also increases his attack speed. Now, most of this stuff is to be the same except for the damage. The damage is associated to its corresponding attributes. So if you're a strength hero, it will give you the things that are listed there, 25 hit points and more hit point generation. But if you're a strength hero and you get a strength item, it will also give you more damage. So the same thing for intelligence. If you're an intelligent hero and you pick up an intelligence item, it will give you the benefits down there listed, plus it will also increase your damage. And that's the only difference between all of them. It's the damage portion. Now let's go up to the next creep camp to show you him leveling up. Just very not very important, but just to show you. So right now I haven't picked a skill, but I'll do it now. I'll just pick a Mutilation and I'll use it here. So now they're being burned, they're taking damage. You can turn it off by clicking it again. Every spell is going to be different, so you gotta read the description of the spells and see what they do. Some of them are just activated and some are passive, like that one. Now you saw him like glow and all that when he reached level 2. That indicates that he leveled up. Your icon here on the top left shows a number 1, meaning that he has an ability that he is ready to use, another new ability. Go down here to the bottom right, where your moves, attacks, and different slots are. Sorry, had a brain fart. Click on the hero abilities, and now you have access to another ability. Like I said earlier, I'm just gonna go with evasion. Now I have a passive and an activated ability. So now I have 2 abilities. If you want access to the third one, you're gonna have to level him up again to level 3, and then you'll have access to mana burn as well. However, most players only use 2 abilities, because going into a third one will means you have 3 level 1 abilities, which is not as good as having not as good as having 1 level 2 ability and 1 level 1 ability, because the more you level up the ability, the better it's gonna get, and it's gonna do more. So like I said earlier, it goes from 10% all the way up to 30%. So you rather have 1/3 of your attacks missing than having access to everything. Because even though you may think that it gives you more strategy to have access to everything, it's not as good in the long run, trust me. And if you do it that way, you'll soon learn the hard way. Now, as far as the items go, let me go back to town to show you some other stuff regarding the items.
Command me.
Oh, that's another thing. Heroes are able to teleport everything around him or her back to base. So that's another benefit of having a hero. It can save your army. So this is a shop. Every race has access to a shop. Your hero can actually buy items too for a cost of gold. So I'm gonna rebuy this town portal. This town portal is what I just used to teleport back to town. Every hero when they first are created have access to one town portal scroll. Sorry, but it's only the first hero that will have access to it. Yeah, because I said that wrong incorrectly. Now, the hero can also sell items, which is a very important feature. Because say if you run out of gold, and you still have a fighting chance in the game, because you still have an army and the opponent doesn't, except for towers, and you don't want to run into the towers and keep dying, or something, and you're out of gold, you want to build again, you can sell your items. Let me just buy a few and prove the point. So I can sell the items back, but at half the cost that you bought them for. So say this is 50 gold, it's only gonna give me 25.
At last.
Oh, sorry. I bought it for 100, so it only gave me 50 back. I showed that incorrectly. So the prices that it's gonna be sold for is gonna show on the scroll, on the item itself. So right there it says 175 gold underneath the name. This says 37 gold underneath the name, 162, and so on. This is listing half what the price is actually worth. So this item is actually worth 100. This one's worth like 3. I don't know what the hell number that is. 325. That's a weird ass division. And then 175 because this is 350, and so forth, so forth. So like I said, this is another way for you to get money when you're out of resources. Creeping also gives you money, so that's another reason we want to creep and kill mercenary camps. And like I said earlier, you can have up to 3. Most of the people use the ones in the altar, but you can also get a hero from this building called a tavern. There's 8 available here to choose from, but the difference is that they cost more lumber to make than the one from your natural base. So right here, this Naga Sea Witch cost 135 lumber. Let's compare that to my second hero from my actual altar. It costs 100 lumber, so there's a 35 lumber tax added to it. The reason for that is because if you get a hero from the tavern, it's instantaneous compared to training it from the altar. So if I click on a hero from the altar, it's gonna have to be trained like any other unit in the game. However, if I go to this altar and click on anything here, oops, let me cancel this one. It's instantaneously made. I didn't have to wait for the training. It just pops up. And that can be very useful in certain strategies. For timing hits, you can attack very quickly with a second hero before the opponent has a second hero made and ready. There's a bunch of other stuff that goes around with it. I'm not gonna go into that right now. Just showing you the basics of the heroes and the importance of creeping, why they're important, and so on. So like as I said earlier, this is agility based. This guy's strength based. So the only difference is that every time he gets a strength point into his stats, he gets one additional attack point. But the 25 hit point regeneration and the 25 extra hit points and the hit point regeneration speed is the same for any hero. It's just that the damage that you get of an increase is only applied if you are that primary attribute. That's pretty much all I can think about right now as far as the basics for heroes. Anything else I say will be more in advanced section. So let's go towards something else for the time being. Alright, let's talk about map specific buildings, more like map specific shops for new players to get aware of and understand. I already went over the tavern, but just know that it's there almost typically on every map. Some maps don't have it, so we gotta make sure you look for it. It's very unique looking, I guess. It's not, you can't discern it from anything else. It's just the way it looks. So you can see it anywhere, even on the Fog of War. If you go over here, there it is. You can easily tell it's a tavern. Basically get heroes out of it. I already went over this. 8 heroes, they cost more lumber, they come up instantly. You don't need a hero to be there. You can just use any unit that you control to be there. You can also have, if you play the team game, have your allies share control of their unit if they're next to the tavern. And you can purchase your hero with their unit if they're giving you share control. Which if you go to allies, oh, I can't do it here because I have no allies. But usually you'll have a player's name here, and right here underneath it says share vision, share ally, and then it says share units. Under share units, you click the check mark that's next to it, and then you either have given your allies share control or they have given it to you, depending on who's doing it. Now, now that it's night, let's go over to the one with the creeps. Send my archer over there so I can pass by the creeps because it's nighttime because they're sleeping. This is a mercenary camp. Each map may or may not have these shops, but if they do, you can purchase mercenary creeps like the ones you see here to help fight for you on your army. They come out instantaneously, so they don't have to be trained. However, there's a stock limit. As you can see, it says 1 for each, and then there's a cooldown of when you can buy them again. There's usually a melee attacker, a range unit. Sometimes there'll be an air unit, we don't know, and then a unit that has a spell, like a spellcaster type of unit. They are sometimes very helpful depending on what you're trying to look for. Sometimes you'll get bloodlust creep, sometimes you'll get like this guy has a healing ward, sometimes you'll get something else. It really just depends on the tile set of the map. But if you see here, if I buy them, the creeps will instantly wake up. See? But I purchased them instantly, and they all come out. Now let's move on. You guys should already be aware what this is right here in the fog. This is a gold mine. If you don't know what this is, I don't know what to tell you, to be quite honest. But this is where you gather your gold resource with any race. Each gold mine will have a different total set of gold that's in there that you can have access to. But in order to have access to it, you need to clear out the creeps that are guarding it. Or else, if you start trying to build, they will attack your building and your worker and anything else that's in the area. Over here, we have what's called a marketplace. These buildings, or shops should I say, are very rare. They're not in every map, and when they are, people are... The smart ones are usually going in there constantly because the items that are sold here are very unique. In compared to a different shop I'll show you in a second. These items have a timer set on them. So periodically as the match is going, different items will spawn from it, including items such as aura giving items like Unholy Aura, Virulence Aura. Basically any aura that a hero will give you or a creep will give you can appear in this item shop, and it's one of those items that are very sought after because it gives your army such a heavily boost in fighting capabilities. Some items are very bland, like sometimes they'll give you like these ogre gloves, strength +3, or agility items, or intelligence, whatever. But other times they give you very powerful items. You just have to look for them here every periodically. I've gotten like inferno stones out of these shops. What is it called? Periods of health that are like higher than the ones in normal shops, and just extremely broken items. It's just a good idea that if you have this on a map, to periodically go over there and check it to see if you get anything very powerful out of them. Yeah, they do cost a lot of money, but they could turn the tide of battle really quickly. Not everybody uses it. I don't use it all the time, but when it's there, I do like checking it out, and it's worth doing. Now this is the regular shop over here, sorry, called the Goblin Merchant. As you can see, it has access to items as well, but the differences between this one and the marketplace is that these ones will always be the same items no matter what map it is or where it's located. It doesn't really matter. The items are very generic, but they're mostly helpful. Like the most popular one is the Scroll Town Portal, but you also have access to it in your own race shop at your own base. But if you're not close to your base, you can buy one here at this merchant shop if you need to teleport home quickly. There's also the most important item, the pot of invulnerability. It gives your hero 7 seconds of invulnerability, so it can't be targeted or hurt. And usually a lot of people fight over this, like more experienced players fight over this. If you've seen like YouTube videos of pros playing the game, they usually will fight over this item, because this item there's only one available in stock, meaning only one player will gain access to it. So you want to make sure you have access to it, because the pot is very useful in battle, because heroes are the most important unit in your army, and if you can protect your hero from dying in a very crucial battle and kill your opponent's hero instead because of this pot, you actually keep up ahead on the battle and can probably win the game from that point. Other items of note are boots of speed, making your hero move faster. The period of availability, giving your vitality, giving your hero extra hit points, which is the one I prefer to use a lot. Scroll protection gives your army 2 extra armor, and scroll of healing, which gives your units 150 instant hit point recovered. There's also other items. I'm not gonna go over them because I don't see them as quite important, but take a look at them. Pot of invisibility, pretty straightforward. I will say that the Tomb of Retraining can be useful, so I will mention that briefly. It lets you relearn all your hero skills and rearrange them the way you want it. So like if you say your hero's level 5, you want to retrain to a different spell that you are not currently using, that you haven't leveled up, you can use this book to set your hero to forget all the spells and then re-put the points to which spell you want them to be. That's it for that. And let's see, what else? Oh, the Goblin Merchant Shop. I need to go here and clear it out because it's not nighttime and I can't just look at it. But the Goblin Merchant Shop is very unique as well. You can get units out of them too, like the mercenary camp, but they're very specific units that have a very specific role. Let me just clear this out so I can show you them.
The time has come.
Oh, I don't even know why I'm like microing. I'm not playing against anything. Okay. Okay. So the Goblin Laboratory has access to the Goblin Sapper, the Zeppelin, the Shredder, and a Reveal ability. The Sapper is meant to be used to destroy buildings because they have a very good destructive force against fortified armor. They are basically suicidal units, kamikaze units. So they have no attack, physical attack, but they will instantly blow themselves up with this ability called Kaboom. You can use it to clear trees, but they are mostly used to blow up buildings. Although I don't have a building around me to show you, but take my word for it. If you get like a couple of them, like say 3 of them, and just dump it at like a couple of farms, the farms will instantly blow up. Buildings that have more HP will still get severely damaged by this. So like 3 of these or 2 of these hitting like say a main hall, and then focus firing your whole army on the main hall will destroy it in seconds. I use this. You usually will see me using this if it comes to my head, because I kind of forget about these guys sometimes. The Zeppelin is a mechanical flying unit that does not cost any food. Sorry. You can load units in here and cross barriers that are unpassable otherwise. So if I put my units in there, it holds a maximum of 8 units. But you can fly over trees, you can fly over rivers, and get to the other side of the map. Instead of like trekking all the way around the map, like instead of walking around down here to the mini map, I could just fly across and unload them here, and now I'm on the other side of the map. It's less ground to cover, basically. It could also be used as a way to prevent your heroes or imported units from getting killed. And I'll show you that right now.
The time has come.
Let's say you're being attacked by archers, right? Your hero is being attacked by archers, and it's low HP. If you have a Zeppelin following you, you can hide in the Zeppelin, and the units that were attacking your hero can no longer attack it. And then you can quickly just unload it again and start attacking again, because they lost track of the hero. So it's a good tactic to have one of these following you. It's more for advanced players. That was like a showing of like an advanced tactic, but it is something you can do. Most of the time it's just used to get over gold mines that are surrounded by trees, and you have no way to clear the trees. You can just use the Zeppelin to get over. But it's a nice unit to be aware of. You can click on move here, move it on your hero, and it'll just follow your hero around.
The time has come. At last.
Or whatever unit you decide to put it on. That way you can always know where it is, because otherwise you have to constantly like click on it and move it yourself. But if you just click on move and put it on the unit, it'll follow that unit. Shredders. Shredders are mechanical units that, are wood harvesters. They harvest 200 wood every single trip, which is very high and very quickly. So for a race, for a race that have trouble getting lumber, because they're spending a lot of lumber quickly in the early game, like say Night Elves, is very useful. However, they do cost 4 food. They're pretty costly. They cost 375 gold and 100 lumber. They give a significant amount of experience to the enemy player if it's killed. So there's a lot of downfalls with this thing, but if you can get it to your base without, getting it killed, then it's worth it in the long run, because then you'll have less workers in your base gathering wood, and you can have access to more food for your army instead. This guy is also an attacker too. As you can see, it has an attack damage icon, so you can attack units. So if someone's attacking your base, you can also use this as a defender. However, I probably wouldn't unless you're really desperate, because it has only 600 HP and heavy armor, which means that any flying unit would just murder this thing. That's pretty much it. The other last thing is reveal. Reveal allows you to reveal the map. So like say you go anywhere here on the mini-map, this still has a fog of war on it, but if you reveal it with the Garden Laboratory, you can now see what's in that area for like about 6 seconds. You can see all the creeps, anyone that's building armies, units, anything in real time, you'll see what's going on in that particular location.
We must act.
Oops. and you can do it anywhere on the map. It doesn't matter where it is. It reveals everything, including what you call invisible units. So like shades, archers that are hiding in at nighttime, anything like that. It will be revealed. It doesn't matter where you want to reveal. It'll reveal it for a short amount of time. It's only 50 gold, so it's very small amount of gold to pay for, and the payout of the information you get out of it is very valuable for 50 gold. So I would recommend using the Goblin Laboratories reveal when you want to know where the enemy is or what they're up to. But don't overdo it because it does add up very quickly. Like if I just see how about look at my gold. Look at that. It adds up really quickly, so don't like overdo it. Like once, like a couple times, like once or 3 or 5 times, it's okay. But think about that. You really spent 200 gold if you do it 4 times, so be aware of that. And that's pretty much it. There is one other building that is not here on this map, which I will have to go into a different map to show you very briefly. And actually, right on lower. So, anyways, this is the Green Dragon's Roost. You can buy dragons here. Dragon Whelp, the small one, a Drake, which is like a level 6 dragon, and then the level 9 dragon. It costs 8 food. This one has immunity to magic, so it's one of the best ones you want to get. It costs a lot, 745 gold and 200 lumber. That's a lot of resources that you require. Okay, so there's the dragon. It also comes with chaos damage, so obviously the more cost the mercenary is going to cost to you as part of resources, the better it's going to be. This one also comes with the ability to devour a unit. When it's being devoured, it heals itself for every second it's being devoured. Here's another point of interest in some maps. This is a Fountain of Health. You regenerate your health by just standing next to it. And it's based off your total HP of a unit. That's why the more HP a unit has, the faster it regenerates on the fountain. So things like grunts, tauren, this big ass dragon here, all will generate faster on this fountain of health. There's also a fountain of mana, I believe. Yeah, it's right here. Fountain of mana, the same thing as fountain of health, only that it regenerates your mana instead of health. You can see how distinct they are because the fountain of health is blue, and the fountain of mana is like purplish blue or something like that. So if you see my mana here is regenerating really quickly on the Archmage down here. Insanely quick, something right next to the fountain, plus the Brilliance aura. But it's the fountain doing a lot of the work. Alright, here is a graph of the armor types versus attack types and what they do good against and what they do bad against. Let me see if I can stretch this out a little bit, make it a little bigger for you. Probably won't be able to though. I think that's as best as I can get it to. But basically there's oh, ignore that background music and noises. We'll get to that in a second. So we on the top here, at the top right, we have unarmored, light, medium, heavy, fortified, hero, and there's one called divine, but I've never seen this anywhere, and I would just ignore this completely because I assume this graph came from like a custom game, whatever. But the rest of this graph here is actually correct. Just ignore divine. Divine is probably like a campaign thing as well. So just ignore that. There's no units you can use in Warcraft 3 ladder versus mode where you can have divine armor. Anyways, the attack types are normal, piercing, siege, magic, chaos, spells, and hero on the left. Now, each unit is going to have an armor type and an attack type. and each one's going to correspond to a unit that they're good against and a unit that they're bad against. So if you see here, let's just take unarmored and normal. When normal hits unarmored, it's going to do 100% damage. It doesn't do good against, it doesn't do bad against. It's just baseline. If you move on over here to say medium, if a normal attack hits medium armor, the normal attack can do 150% extra, as opposed. I mean, it's, how do I word that correctly? It's gonna do 50% more damage than the normal 100% baseline. So that's why it says 150. It's percentage wise. And if you go back to heavy, it's gonna do just normal 100%. If it goes to fortified, it's gonna drop down actually to 70% damage. And then hero, it's gonna hit it for 100% damage. And then you can see that every single one's gonna do good and bad against something, except for chaos down here. Chaos damage does 100% damage against every type of armor, including divine apparently. So if you have units that have chaos damage, it'll be actually beneficial for you to use those against heroes, because hero armor is one of the armors that's hardest to get through, aside from fortified, because everything does reduce damage to it. Piercing, siege, magic, spells do less damage to it overall. So you want to use chaos against heroes. They actually die quicker to it. But this is just a graph to show you overall what the different types are. You can study it if you want, pause the video here, but we're going to show you the units in the game. So here, I made every single unit for undead. Since the game was already going in the background, we just might as well just show it to you. If you click on any unit, let's go with this abomination, and you go to his attack down here in its portrait and armor. It's going to tell you the same information I just told you for the most part. It tells you the type, the range, speed of the attack, if it has any upgrades, and then at the bottom it says normal attacks do extra damage against medium armor and reduce against fortified. So there you go. And then for armor, it tells you what they're the same thing. How fast they're moving as opposed to attack speed. How much armor reduction they have. See, this one has 2 armor at base start, and what they're bad against. So the heavy armor takes extra from magic attacks. Now every race is gonna have access to normal, piercing, magic damage, siege, spells, and hero damage. What they're not gonna have access to is chaos damage, except for undead. Undead is the only one who has access to chaos damage, but we'll get to that when I make a video about each individual race. And FYI, it comes from a specific hero only. Now, if I focus, see this necromancer here has unarmored, which takes extra from piercing. So if I focus fire with the fiends that have piercing, it's gonna kill it almost immediately, or in 2 shots. See his health, like how fast it goes down? It took 3 because he was on blight regenerating. But for the most part, they die really quickly. And as far as magic damage goes, the only units that actually have magic damage in the game are the spellcasters.
This better be good.
That every race has access to, and the heavy air unit, which every race has access to, except Orc. Orc does not have a heavy air unit. So they have 3 different spellcasters instead, and we'll get to that when we get to Orc. But yeah, every unit has armor and different attack types. Heroes are the only one who has hero damage and hero armor, obviously. The siege weapons, everybody has at least 1. Some races have more than 1. Have the siege damage right here, which is that picture. the icons you saw in the graph are a little different because they're from Frozen Throne, and I'm showing you icons from Warcraft Reforged. So basically, this is just like an overview of like the armors versus attack types. So now let's move on to the next thing. So one of the few last things I want to go over is hotkeys and control groups. Uh, they typically refer to the same thing. It's just that control groups is just um, it's just the what you call when you combine a group of units or a group of buildings into one control group. Now, in Warcraft, you can put anything into a control group. It could be a mixture of units and not everything, but just sorry, clarify. Any combination of units and buildings into a control group. You can't put like enemy buildings and units into a control group. That would be ridiculous. But I mean that any amount or differentiating buildings and units, you can put them onto the same control group, and I'll show you that. I'll also show you that you can put the same type, or just one, or just two, or any number up to a maximum of 12. Now, let me see if I can get 12 units of something first. How many ghouls do I have? Okay, I'll make a couple more ghouls. But for starters, I'll show you I'll explain what the control groups are. So in order to make a control group, you first need to click on a building or a unit, and if you want to put it into a control group, what you do is on your keyboard you hold the control button and then press any number between 1 and 0, and it'll set it to that control group. So with this A bomb highlighted, I hold control, press 1, and now anytime I press 1, the picture portrait will go to the abomination. So press 1, and now the abomination is highlighted again. So it doesn't matter where I press. If I press 1, it'll go back to the A-bomb. Now, use this to be able to get to units or buildings that you need to take an action for as quickly as possible. Because otherwise, say I'm over here looking at this screen, and I don't have a control group for that specifically for that A-bomb, I would have to either move the camera, like drag it across back to the base, look for the A-bomb specifically, click on it, which wastes a lot of time. And a game that's fast-paced like this, you don't want to be wasting time. Also, if you're looking somewhere else and you click, sorry, first let me click on something else. So I'll click on this grip again. Say I'm looking over here at this fog for some reason, and I want to move the A-bomb here. I can then press 1 on a control group. Now I'm hiding the A-bomb, and I can move it here with the mouse 2, and the A-bomb will start moving on its own, even though I'm not looking at it. You see here on the mini map, down here on the left, you see the little blip here starting to move, and if I click to it, it's the A-bomb I just selected. You can also use control groups to double click or double press the same control group to move your camera to that specific spot. Here's an example. I'll go back to this area. If I press 1 twice, my camera will automatically move to that location of that control group. See? Now my camera's back at the A-bomb, looking specifically at it and highlight it. And you can do that with units or buildings. So if I do it with Crypt, I'm going to switch to control 1 for this Crypt now instead of A-bomb. So if I hit 1, it's going to go to Crypt instead now. So I move the camera here, double tap the 1, it'll go to the Crypt automatically. Now, as far as buildings go, when you put them to hotkeys, you don't necessarily have to go back to the base in order to use them, because as long as it's highlighted, you can start using it. See? So it doesn't really matter. But it's the same thing as a unit. So like if you don't press the hotkey for it, I mean the control group, it'll go back to the base. And sometimes you want to do that because you want to click on other things in the base or use other stuff in your base and whatnot. Now, as far as, let me see, get all my goals here. Did I not make goals? Oh, here they are. Sorry. Okay, well, I think I was missing one. I guess. Oops. Real quick, make it the last one. So you can make a maximum of, I said, like 12 units in a control group. So right here I have 11 ghouls. I'm making one more just to prove the point and to show you. You can also double click on a unit and it'll highlight all the units available in that specific area. So if I click on one, it'll just be one, but if I double click the unit, it'll be all the same type of units that are there. And that's very effective to use, very efficiently to gather all of them, because instead you would just have to drag like this. And whichever way you're more comfortable with, they're both pretty fast, but I use both actually, so this doesn't matter. Some say click, double click, some say drag and click. But anyways, so I'm gonna put this on control group 1, and I'm gonna set these fiends over here to control group 3. So now if I click 1, it goes to fiends. Now if I click 3, I'll go to crypt fiends. And the reason you want to use control groups, aside from being able to move around the map easier, um, the important thing about it is just to make sure you can use them in combat effectively. So say your opponent's attacking here, and you want to try to like block some in with your ghouls and fiends. So I'll go to my ghouls here, move them over here, press 3, move the fiends over here. Let's say this Dreadlord is the attacker. He's moving in. I click on the fiends to attack here, and then the ghouls first, and then the fiends will attack, and now he's boxed in. See? The thing is that you want to put the control groups up to your what you're more comfortable with. Right now, I have it set to just pure ghouls in one and pure fiends in the other. However, you can set it to whatever you want, like I said earlier. So I could put a hero, an abomination, a fiend, a ghoul, a building. Oops, hold on. I held it wrong. Actually, I don't think you can hold the building. Yep, I was wrong. Sorry, incorrect. You cannot do it with the building. Yeah, you can't do it with the building. I thought you could. I think what I got confused about is that you could put different buildings. Yeah, so you could put different buildings in the control group. You just can't mix units and buildings. So that was incorrect. At least we got that out of the way. But you can mix different types of units and put them all into one control group. And then, so if you want to say all ghouls, you put one like it was already set to. And now if I want just that one specific ghoul with that army, I click on 2 and it moves only them. Now if I want to move all the fiends, I put 3, move all the fiends instead. So that's just very helpful. As far as building goes, like I was showing you, you can put any buildings together. It doesn't matter what they are. As long as they're buildings, they can all go together. So this is all control group 1 now. Fiends are 3, 2 is this, buildings are 1 now. However, since you have multiple different types of buildings, and say you want to get to a specific building in your control group, you can press the tab button and it'll move you to the next building over. So now I'm highlighting the altar, press tab again, I'm highlighting both slaughterhouses, tab again, the graveyard, tab again, the cigarettes, and then so forth and so forth. Each time you want to tab to a different building or a different unit, because you want to use that specific unit instead of everything that's highlighted, because sometimes you want something specifically from a specific building or a specific unit to be done or used. So in case of the crypt, press ghouls and then tab to the slaughterhouse, click on statues and starts making it. Click over to, I think that's a shop, not a shop. Click over to the cigarettes, start making towers, so forth, so forth. And that's pretty much it. Now, as far as what I use for control groups, I use only 1 through 5 because that's what I'm comfortable with and that's what I'm used to. I don't go to 6, 7, 8, or 9 because that's too far for my hand to reach. Because most of my hotkeys are around like ASW and F, and barely goes to G. Anything beyond that, I just use my right hand to go to P or something for peasant. but that's just because I'm what I'm used to. So normally I'll put the crypt on one or the first barracks on one, and then the altar I will put it on five, and then my main building on two for early game until it gets to tier three. Then I just don't use it anymore. And then once it gets to tier three, or I'm upgrading to tier three, I just select the new tier two building, the slaughterhouse in this case, take over for two. So now tier one building is one, tier two building is two. My army will be in three and four. The army that has like special units or um, units for specific strategy that you're implementing, I put it on three. For this case, it'll be Fiends. Say I'm doing Fiends and DK, Fiends will be on three. My Death Knight will be on four. And then anything like special, like heavy units will be on four as well with my heroes, like heavy air, abominations, things like that, destroyers. It just really depends on what the situation calls for and what I'm doing. Sometimes I put the ghouls all on three and only the heroes on one other hotkey because I only want to move heroes or use spells with heroes and quickly make the ghouls attack something. It just really depends on what you're going for. Now, as far as hotkeys go, everything has a hotkey. Every building, every unit for spells. You just gotta like get to know them. You have to highlight over the portrait or whatever you're trying to make from a building. It'll tell you in highlighted in yellow what it is. So in this case, the ghoul is G. So if you press G on the keyboard, you'll start training a ghoul. Crypt Fiend is F. Gargoyle is A. Uh, Gold Frenzy Z, and so on and so on. Same thing when you're building a building. On the Acolyte or on your worker, press B for build. It'll, if you like right here it says building, B, press it. And now it gives you the buildings that you can produce. So each race will have a different hotkey. So you just gotta duck them over and re-hammer them and go from there. I can't tell you what they are because they're very specific to each race. I only know some of them, not all of them. So Crypt is C, Haunted Mine is G, Graveyard is V, Ziggurat is Z, Altar is A. The Altar is always going to be A for whatever race. That's the only unique thing. Slaughterhouse T, Slaughterhouse H. I mean, sorry, Temple of the Damned T, Sacrificial Pit, and so on and so on. So just look over the icon, highlight it over. It'll tell you what the hotkey is. Same thing with spells. Like if you look at the spells for a hero, Sleep is E, Vampiric Aura is V, but Vampiric Aura is static, so I don't have to do anything with it. Carrion Swarm is C, and Inferno is N. So you just gotta practice and memorize them. Eventually, you'll get them. It's not that difficult. Just practice against a computer. You'll eventually get the hang of hotkeys and control groups. Um, I don't I don't use all hotkeys because I can't remember them, and it can be bothered with it sometimes. Like for example, the obsidian statue. I don't bother learning the hotkey for it. It's B for it's B for play and C for touch. Like I don't bother recognizing or remembering what the hotkey is because all I do when it comes to the statue is click them to follow the hero. Typically a range hero, not the melee hero. And set it to auto cast. I get two, one of each. One for heal and one for mana, and that's it. The only times I move them is when they're being attacked, or if I need to transform them into the destroyer. But that's what I do, and that's how I play it. Everybody's different. Just do what you're comfortable with. And that's it for now. The only thing I didn't touch on is the day and night cycle here in the middle of the middle top of the screen. You can see the ellipse on the clock. The only reason I didn't go over it is because there's more advanced things for the clock when you get to timing, attacking, uh, and racial advantages. So for now, the only thing you gotta understand about the clock is that there's a day and night cycle. The creeps are sleeping during the nighttime, so you can pass by certain areas without disturbing them. Only certain creeps though. Some don't sleep at night, like the granite golem doesn't sleep. And then during the daytime, everything's awake. You can see further distance because there's daylight, and at nighttime you see less because it's harder to see in the night, obviously. Um, some units have advantages on nighttime, others have advantages during the daytime, and that's just things we'll explain to it in the more advanced section in another video, or race specifically. Before we end this video, there are a few things I forgot to mention in the hotkeys section. First, you can add any building or unit to a corresponding control group if you hold the shift key and then click on the desired building/unit and then regroup them to the control group you want them to be in. There are also a few universal hotkeys that can be useful to players, such as F1, F2, and F3 will bring up your first, second, or third hero unit. This is useful if you desire to only micro or move your hero when it is part of another control group. F8 is for idle workers, so if you see the portrait on the left sometimes where your worker's idling, if you press F8, it'll go directly to that worker, and then you can place it to do something else like harvest wood, lumber, gold, or build buildings, or whatever you need them to do. Spacebar centers the camera to the last notification received, whether a unit building is done or you're being attacked. As long as some type of notification went off, it will go to that location. And lastly, if you press the backspace, it will center the camera back to your main base. Well, that is it for this video. Before I head out, I would like you guys to know that I created my own Discord server, and the link will be in the description. If you are looking for partners to play Warcraft with, find people to practice with, or looking for further advice, feel free to join. And I hope that you found this video informative and helpful to improve your skills. And hopefully I'll see you in the race specific videos whenever those come out.